Yes, I've actually had my hair cut. Hi guys, welcome to PMyth Gaming. Nintendo have just released their latest sales figures and they make for pretty impressive reading indeed. The console has shifted a hefty 52.48 million units worldwide, meaning the hybrid console has now outstripped the Super Nintendo's 49.1 million units and is well on course to surpass the 61.91 million combined units of the NES and Famicom by the end of the year. As a result of those stellar figures, Nintendo have upped their sales forecasts for the remainder of the fiscal year, now shooting for 19.5 million instead of their original goal of 18. It currently stands at 17.74 million. Those sales represent a 22.5% increase year on year for the system, but not everyone is happy. The Financial Times has warned investors away from Nintendo, saying that the Switch is on the verge of being outdated. Now, far be it from me to criticise the Financial Times, although they've hardly shown a completely in-depth understanding of some issues recently. But let's not talk politics, eh? And they did say that the Switch only launched with Smash Brothers in China. It was in fact New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. But, to be honest, I think they're failing to take into account the Switch's unique appeal. It's already in a market with two other much more powerful systems in the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro. And even the base models of those systems outperform the Switch. And yet it's managed to accrue 52 million sales in under 3 years. Much of that is because Nintendo has been able to carve out a niche all of its own. They monopolised the handheld space for years with the 3DS, and now the Switch is being positioned as a direct replacement for that console, especially in the form of the Switch Lite. Moreover, the Switch's library is unlike any of the other systems. Sure, there's all the killer first-party Nintendo IP, but third parties do incredibly well on the platform too. Both Astral Chain and Marvel Ultimate Alliance shifted more than 1 million copies, which shows that there is a big audience for games on Switch that aren't made by Nintendo. And if you're an indie developer, the Switch is the place to be. We're constantly hearing stories about how multi-platform indie releases performed miles better on Switch than anywhere else. And with Nintendo explicitly showcasing these games in dedicated directs, as well as giving them slots in their own first-party directs, there's a good chance your game will find an audience on Nintendo's system. So there'll be no shortage of games on Switch going forward, and with the console not competing directly with Xbox and PlayStation, why can't it hang around longer than the usual 5-year cycle? Many gamers own multiple consoles these days, and more often than not they're supplementing their big boy console with a Switch. I'm rocking an Xbox as well as my Switch, and I can see that setup continuing for many people when the next gen drops. They'll have a PS5 or a Series X for your CODs, Red Deads and GTAs, and a Switch for Zelda, Mario and cool little indies. Nintendo are essentially a dominating force in the handheld market, they've got that wrapped up. But by offering a unique experience that you don't get on the other two systems, they've successfully carved out a second system niche, which they also occupy unopposed. Suffice to say, I think the Switch is in an incredibly healthy place right now, and I think it will continue to be a strong seller for Nintendo way beyond the usual 5-year life cycle. I'm not the only one who thinks this either. In their investors briefing this week, Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa acknowledged that traditionally the Switch would be halfway through its life cycle by now. But he also stressed that the positioning of the Switch, as well as the fact that Nintendo no longer have a development team split between home and handheld consoles, mean there's plenty of scope for continued growth. All in all, I think Switch is sitting rather pretty right now. Nintendo may have confirmed that there won't be a Switch Pro arriving this year, but Furukawa did draw attention to the fact that Nintendo have reiterated on their consoles in the past, with the likes of the DS and 3DS, so there's no reason that a Switch Pro couldn't pop up in 2021 or beyond. I know I'd buy one. What do you guys reckon? Do you think Nintendo can continue to ride this Switch wave for another 3 years? Or do you think they could do with freshening up the hardware a little bit? Let me know down in the comments, and let me know if you enjoyed this video. If you did, there's tons more you can check out, such as this one. And if you like that, you can always subscribe to, so you never miss another episode. This show goes out every Friday, but there's tons more stuff here on Nintendo Village for you to enjoy, and be sure to check out thenintendovillage.com for news, reviews, features, podcasts, and all that cool stuff. Thanks again for watching, I'll see you all next week.